much physical pain was due to emotional baggage, and that emotional energies from experiences that people had gone through was such a huge component of every disease process that I was seeing, and that it was the underlying cause of depression and anxiety and phobias and panic attacks and PTSD and eating disorders and self-sabotage and all kinds of things. Yet there were times when I would work on a patient and I'd come away with this feeling that there was something that I was missing. There was some energy, there was emotional baggage that I was not being allowed to access.
What if your heart has been protecting you in ways that you didn't even realize? Heart walls made up of stored emotional energy can form after heartbreak, loss, or trauma, shielding us from pain while also blocking us from connection, joy, and healing. Welcome to Energy Medicine. I'm Dr. Mary, a seasoned chiropractor and medical intuitive, and I'm your host. On this show, we're committed to delivering practical energy medicine tools that you can use every day to support your health, your healing, and your personal transformation. Today's episode is titled The Heart Code, and I'm honored to be joined by Dr. Bradley Nelson. With over 30 years of experience as a holistic chiropractic physician, Dr. Nelson is one of the leading voices in bioenergetic medicine and energy psychology, and he's a best-selling author of 3 transformative books. In this conversation, we explore how the heart can build a protective wall of emotional energy, and that's what Dr. Nelson refers to as a heart wall. While it's designed to shield you from pain, it may be blocking you from love and connection and your fullest potential. The good news is that you can change that. Dr. Nelson shares a clear, effective, step-by-step process to identify and to remove that heart wall so that you can reconnect with your heart in your best life. So let's dive in.
My wife woke me up early in the morning and said that she'd had a dream. And as I was trying to help her decipher this dream, I had what I can only describe as a waking vision where the room that we were in disappeared, and instead, for several minutes, I'm seeing this unbelievably beautiful hardwood floor. And I have this understanding that my wife's heart is underneath this floor that I'm seeing. And I told her what I was seeing and understanding. I didn't know what it meant. She didn't know what it meant. So we asked the higher power for some help and then started trying to figure this out. And by asking questions of her subconscious mind, we were able to determine that when she was around 2 years old, she had begun to put a wall up around her heart. Her dad was kind of a rageaholic, and he was a good man, but nobody ever knew when he was going to blow up or at who, and there was no rhyme or reason to it, so it was very unsafe. And so by the time she was 2 years old, she felt like if her heart was not going to be totally broken, she needed to build a wall around her heart. And so that wall we found was made of layers of the emotional baggage that she had picked up during her life. And so we asked if we could start to remove this emotional baggage, and we got a yes from her subconscious mind. And so it took a couple of weeks to take down these emotional layers, these emotional energies. And when the last energy was released and that wall was suddenly gone, her life shifted in a huge way. She had really battled with depression and anxiety before that. And before that was released, she always felt like she was kind of an outsider. No matter who she was with, friends that she'd known for decades, she still always felt like she was on the outside looking in, like she didn't really belong until that last energy was released. And then suddenly she felt like she belonged. And in the very beginning, I thought that maybe she was the only person in the world that had such a strange phenomenon. But now we know that about 93% of people have put up this wall. And so it's very, very common. And if you've ever been abused really in any way, you've got a wall. If you have been through a divorce, you've got a wall. The problem is when that wall is there, it makes it much more difficult for you to really connect fully with other people. to really find your soulmate, to fall in love, to stay in love, and also to really manifest not only the perfect life that you can have, but the perfect health that you're capable of, because the heart has a huge amount of control over all the cells in the body. And so, the ancients believed all these interesting things about the heart, that it was the seat of the soul and the source of love and creativity and romance and all these magical things that in the West we've never really given any credence to. But we're beginning to understand now that all those ancient people were exactly right, that the heart is all of those things. And so that's what this new book, The Heart Code, is really all about. It teaches people how to find out if they've got a wall up around their own heart and how to get rid of it.
That's such a powerful story. Thank you for sharing your wife's history, a little bit about that, and about her own process. I mean, obviously, at the age of 2, you're going to do innately, without being told, from any person, you're going to innately do what is right for you to protect yourself. That's what it's designed to do, is to create a protection if you're not feeling safe. And there's so many different themes, and you touched upon a few of them, various different types of traumas that people could have undergone in their early childhood development, and then through adolescence and young adulthood and into adulthood, that, it's just one trauma, possibly after another unresolved emotional upset, another trauma, and it creates layers. And we know, and we've talked about this, Dr. Bradley, on the show, and that the heart space has its own unique ability with its own toric field. So imagine, the walls that you're describing prevent a person from connecting into this broad band of universal love that surrounds all of us. My hope and desire that everyone's able to connect into that frequency. We all have the ability to. It's whether or not we allow those walls to come down. And so, Dr. Bradley, I'd like to hear from you about how do you think the energetics compound as the walls become thicker or more developed over time? And you talked about the physiology of what it does to the emotional body, what it does to the physical body and to the energetic body.
Well, let me share a story with you that I think will be meaningful. I love stories, and this is a true story. A woman brought her son in to see us one day. He was 9 years old, and she described what had been going on with him. She said that the first thing that she noticed that something wasn't right was he wouldn't hand in his homework if he did it, and sometimes he just wouldn't do his homework, and that was odd. And then she said that sometimes she'd go into his room at night and he would be on the floor, and she'd say, "What are you doing on the floor?" And he'd say, "I don't deserve to be in a bed." And she thought, what? Why is he saying that? What does that even mean? And then one day she paid a surprise visit to her son's school, only to find his teacher berating him for being pathetic because she couldn't get any cooperation or any work out of him. It's really interesting. He had kind of a false sort of a smile pasted on all the time, almost more like a grimace, really. But I think that he knew that he should be happy, and he was trying to be happy by smiling. But she took him to see a psychiatrist. She took him out of school, by the way, right away, and tried to do homeschool. That didn't work. She took him to see a psychiatrist, a psychologist. She was told that he was clinically depressed, but that he couldn't be helped because he wouldn't admit that he was depressed. He was only 9 years old. So she didn't know what to do. She was kind of at her wit's end, and heard about the work that we were doing with this phenomenon called the heart wall and how it works so well with depression. And so she brought him in to see us, and we tested him and found he had a heart wall. We started working on him, and there were several emotional layers making up this wall around his heart. And each of these layers had to do with a tragedy that had happened in their family or their extended family. And when we got down to the very last layer, which was the very first emotion that began this heart wall, we found out what had happened. He and his family were at a family reunion. This was in California at a lake, And he was there with his big sister, who was 12 years old. She was his designated babysitter. She was babysitting not only him, but also another little boy. They were both 5 years old at the time. And it was a cousin of theirs, his little best friend. And they were out on a dock on this lake, and there was no adult supervision around. And she was trying to teach this little cousin how to swim. And he disappeared underneath the dock. And it was an hour later or so that the divers retrieved his body out from underneath the dock. And of course, he was dead. And the overwhelming, crushing guilt that his sister was experiencing for having something so awful happen on her watch became absorbed into his body. And to prevent his heart from breaking because of what was going on with her, but also because he had just lost his best little friend who had just died. It was just so awful. That immediately formed into a wall around his heart to try to protect his heart from being totally broken. That was the last emotion that we released. And then his muscle testing indicated that his heart wall was gone. So his mom took him home. And for the next couple of days, he was just kind of lying around being lethargic. And she thought, well, it doesn't look like that really helped either. But he was processing the release of that emotional baggage. And on the morning of the third day after we worked on him, it's hard to tell the story sometimes. He got himself up early and got his backpack and his lunchbox and got himself all ready to go to school. He came downstairs and he said, "Mom, I can go back to school now. I'm a happy pappy." And that's a direct quote. And he went into the advanced program for kids because he was doing so well and so smart. And she told us that she felt like she was pretty certain that he would not have survived if that heart wall had not been released. And so this is one of the things that we see. So if you think about it, in his case, these layers kind of built up. And sometimes the more layers of emotional energy you build and the more potent each one is, the more of an effect it can have on you. And it's an amazing and really a cosmic thing, Dr. Mary, when someone has a heart wall and has never been in love, and that wall's removed. And then sometimes within short order, sometimes within a week or two, they find love. It's an amazing thing. Creative ideas begin to flow spontaneously. And another thing that's amazing is when I was in practice, during the last 10 years of my practice, most of the people that I saw had been told there was really no hope for them in Western medicine. You see these kind of people that have kind of been cast off and considered hopeless in Western medicine because no drug will cure them, no surgery will cure them. And so what I would do with these patients is I would always do a regular examination, but then I would always also do an energy exam, and I would test the balance of all the organs and glands and chakras and meridians. And with these people that were so hopelessly sick, I would often find that all of their organs, most of their glands were out of balance, and many of the chakras and meridians. And with these people, sometimes I would just do one thing. I would just clear their heart wall. And then I would redo that initial examination after just a week or so. And inevitably, I would find that 80% of all those organs and glands and chakras and meridians were now balanced again. And I would do that periodically just to prove to myself how powerful it is to get rid of this wall around the heart. There's much, much more going on with the heart than we know now. There's still a lot more we're going to discover, but I believe it's everything the ancients believed it to be. It's the seat of the soul, source of love, creativity, romance. It truly is the core of our being.
If what Dr. Bradley is sharing is resonating with you and you're noticing areas where your own heart may be still holding on to stored emotional energy, you don't have to navigate this alone. I offer one-to-one remote energetic healing sessions designed to gently identify and to clear emotions specifically surrounding the heart. If you're personally being called to do some deeper work, I would be honored to hold sacred space for you. Simply visit my website and schedule a remote energetic healing session when you're ready. Now, let's get back to the show. Dr. Bradley, my next question stems from the fact that there are a large percentage of the listeners who would consider themselves to be highly sensitive people, to be empathic, in that these are the people that do have the wonderful, big, open, huge hearts, but they desensitize it to a certain degree so they can function in today's society. I mean, let's be honest, some of the things that we see on the news every day, it's not heartwarming by any means. It forces us to close down the heart. Now, how do we know, as listeners, how do we know if we're doing more damage by creating these walls? Like, is it really truly protective for us, or is it detrimental in our ability to connect with other humans down the road?
Well, that's a great question. The heart wall is a defensive mechanism. It's almost like you can think of building up a bunion, for example, on your foot, right? Because you've got a problem. Is that good in the long term? The problem is when the bombs are falling, when you're being abused or you're going through a divorce or a breakup or something like that, and you feel like your heart's breaking, the subconscious mind will put up this wall to try to protect the most important part of you, which is your heart, right? That center of your being. And the protective mechanism works. It helps. But in the long term, it makes it more difficult for you to really feel. And what's interesting is, sometimes we have worked with people who have been in abusive relationships. My sister, for example, was in an abusive relationship. Her husband wasn't physically abusive, but he was mentally and verbally abusive for 22 years. And her family couldn't really understand why she stayed. Well, when that wall was taken down, it was only 2 weeks later that she filed for divorce, because when that wall was taken down and she went back into that situation and was suddenly able to really comprehend what was really going on and how hurtful it really was, she made that decision, to get out of it. So the heart wall is like a lot of other things the body does. It's a protective mechanism, and it makes perfect sense in the short term, but there is a price that you pay long term. And one of the beautiful things about getting rid of the heart wall is that it helps a person's ability to really feel and to begin to rise in their ability to really feel and give unconditional love. And to me, that's a big reason why we're here. When people die and they go to the other side and they have a life review, they're never ever asked how fancy of a car they drove or how much money they made, never. But one of the questions they're often asked, and I think the most important one probably, is how much ability have you been able to develop to love other people unconditionally? And I believe it's unconditional love really that's going to save this world. And I think that's the world that we're moving towards. I think the earth is kind of in labor, and we see all this chaos going on all over the world. But really, ultimately, I think that we're going to get past all of that, and we're going to move into a world where everyone is living from their own heart. And I think that's what all the great teachers, all the great spiritual teachers throughout history have really been trying to teach us, that it's time for us to learn to live from our heart and not from our head, right? But if you've got a heart wall, then you're living from the brain in your head primarily. And that's why the world, I think, is really so messed up, because 9 out of 10 people have got this wall around their heart, so they don't really feel very well. So they're operating from this brain. And of course, politicians, it makes perfect sense if you're not living from your heart and you're only living from the brain in your head, to drop bombs, and use war to settle differences between nations and all those crazy things that you'd think we would be way beyond at this point, right, in 2025.
Yeah, 2026 now.
Oh, yeah, 2026. True.
So, 9 out of 10, and you said what, 92% of the population?
93% that we have observed, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's an alarming statistic. And I know
Yeah.
that there are many of the listeners who are resonating with what you're saying, yeah, I've got a few walls myself. I feel a little stuck or I feel a little disconnected. I mean, those are normal reactions when we're talking about the heart themselves. It is a protective area, a vulnerable area. And for those listeners who are looking for tangible and practical tools that they can take home to start implementing to bring down these walls so that there is a little bit more softness, so that the exchange of the unconditional love for others, they can receive it in return. So do you have your top 3 energy medicine tools that you would recommend in this situation?
Well, yeah, the first thing to do is to think about your own life and think about how probable it may be that you've put up a wall. If you can recall times in your life where you felt that physical sensation, like your heart was breaking, if that happened to you more than once, you probably have put up a wall. If you've been through a divorce, I've never seen anybody that's been through a divorce that didn't have a heart wall. If you were bullied as a child, or you've been through difficult work situations, etc., you've probably got one. So then the next question is, well, what can you do about it? Well, the simplest thing to do really is to get a copy of the Heart Code book, right? Because it walks you through the whole process and teaches you how to do it. But you can learn to ask questions of the subconscious mind, and there are lots of videos online. One of the simplest things that you can do that we teach in the Heart Code book, in all the books really, is something called the sway test, where if you're standing upright and you've got your hands dropped down by your sides, your eyes are closed, your feet are about shoulder width apart, if you ask a question, for example, if you ask, do I have a heart wall? And if you allow about 10 seconds to go by and just focus on that question, your body will sway automatically forward for yes or backward for no. The subconscious mind is essentially a binary computer, and you can ask questions and it will give you answers. And that's really the basis of all the work that we've done. I used to be a computer programmer starting out back in the early 1980s. And so that's kind of how that was a fundamental piece of all of this, right? So that's an important thing. Another thing that you can do, we have a little program called the Immersion Path that helps people to understand how all of this works, and it walks them through being able to release their first trapped emotion. And right now that's a free program that they can go to discoverhealing.com and they can pick that up. So I think that's the first thing, is to realize that you probably have a heart wall if you've lived very much of life, really. And if you've gotten to the age that that you and I are at, you're an adult and you've been through some things, and we've probably been through some things we would rather not have gone through. I can say that definitely for myself, and I think that's probably true for you too, and for everybody.
Yes.
And so that's why these heart walls are so prevalent. And that's the first step, to realize you probably do have one. And then you might start thinking about, well, how might that be affecting me in my relationships with other people, or with my health? Or am I dealing with depression or anxiety or any of those things? And then make a New Year's resolution to live this year heart wall free, and you can do that.
Lovely. So if I'm hearing you correctly, the first step is really just to lean in with self-love and compassion, to have the acknowledgement that indeed there's a high probability that life has created some additional heart walls for you. Yeah. And then the next question is digging in a little bit deeper and having a truthful understanding as to how it is impacting your daily life. Yeah. And listeners, I do want to make mention that all of the links for Dr. Bradley and his offerings are available in the show notes. So don't forget that he's just a click away, that you can reach out to him for any of his books, his offerings, and his services. So Dr. Bradley, as we bring this episode to a close, is there any last imparting messages that you want to share with the listeners?
Well, yeah, thank you, Dr. Mary. I really believe that we're living in a very, very special time of the Earth's history. And I think that one of the key understandings that we are gaining during this time is that we are really divine beings and that we have tremendous capabilities beyond what we were taught, and that healing is something that belongs to every single one of us. It's a birthright that every single one of us comes into the world with. And our job in this world, of course, is to take back up that birthright, to learn why we're here, what we're doing here, and to be able to heal ourselves and heal our family members, our loved ones, even our departed, because that's one of the things in the emotion code that you will learn about, and the heart code, the body code, about how we inherit emotional energy from our ancestors, and releasing those from us can make a big difference, but also can make a big difference for them, apparently. So there's a whole lot that we're learning now about who we really are and what we're really doing here, and it's all very exciting, really. And the heart wall is part of that, because who knew? I would never have imagined in my wildest dreams that our subconscious mind would put up a wall, literally a wall that you can't see, an invisible wall that's there to protect us, and yet ends up really hampering us in so many ways. And how easy it is to get rid of it. You can learn how to do this yourself, and that's all in the books, the Heart Code book. And so yeah, I would just say those things, and also, if people want to go to my blog at drbradleynelson.com, they can use the code Energy Medicine, all caps, all one word, Energy Medicine. And there are some really special things that they can get there if they want to order a book or some books there. We have special gifts for them and so on.
That's very generous. Thank you for extending that gift to us, and we appreciate it. We'll take advantage of that. And so before we go our separate ways, I just want to express a tremendous amount of gratitude. I mentioned this earlier, but it really is sincere in that there is a soft space in my heart. I love chiropractors. I love what we stand for, how we approach the human body, and we hold space for the innate healing and the wisdom that comes from within. So thank you for being courageous enough to put it into words and into programs and into services. So thank you for all that you are offering. And for those listeners, I know that it takes a tremendous amount of courage to do the healing part. I do. And so I just want to say that you are all whole. You are not broken. You're looking to improve what you already currently have been working on. And that is the sense of the empowerment and reclaiming all pieces of yourself. So until next time, listeners, I invite you to step forward into 2026 in an undefended, heart wall free episode. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mary.